Blue Beetle is the newest film from the DC Extended Universe, dceu. This film tells the story of the main character named Jamie Reyes, which was adapted by DC Comics. This film, produced by DC Studios and the Safran Company, makes Blue Beetle the first DC Universe, DCU, character under the auspices of James Gunn and Peter Safran. In this cinematic story, Blue Beetle is introduced as the first Latinx superhero in DCEU history. However, the appearance of the Blue Beetle occurred long before Jamie wore the Blue Beetle costume. The Blue Beetle character first appeared in the comic Mystery Men Comics #1 by Charles Nicholas Wojtkowski in 1939. The comic was published by Fox Comics. The initial version of this character used the alias Dan Garrett, a policeman who wore a bulletproof costume and took the strengthening drug vitamin 2X. This character was popular enough that it was later adapted into a radio series. The DCEU's new mainstay Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is the newest DC Extended Universe superhero film that appears wearing the Blue Beetle costume. Blue Beetle is the newest DC Extended Universe superhero film that appears wearing a Blue Beetle costume. In this big screen story, Blue Beetle is introduced as the first Latin superhero in DCEU history. After Fox Comics went bankrupt in the 1950s, the rights to Blue Beetle passed to Charlton Comics. Charlton introduced a different version of Dan Garrett. In 1964, Dan Garrett added a T to his last name. The character, now named Dan Garrett, turns into an archaeologist. One day, he discovers a mystical scarab that gives him superhuman abilities. Charlton made changes to the Blue Beetle again in 1966 by changing the main character from Dan Garrett to Ted Kord. Kord was Garrett's student and a brilliant inventor who took over the title after Garrett's death. He relies on his advanced tools instead of using the scarab to fight crime. Charlton Comics went bankrupt until in 1983, the rights to Blue Beetle and other characters, such as Captain Atom and The Question, were acquired by DC. These characters were later integrated into the DC Universe following the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985. Ted Kord's version of Blue Beetle joined the Justice League, paving the way for a partnership with Booster Gold until the character's death in 2005. Although the Blue Beetle character has been around since 1939, Jamie Reyes only appeared in 2006. He was introduced in the 2006 Infinite Crisis comic after Ted Kord's death. Jamie becomes Blue Beetle after an incident occurs when he brings the scarab home. He, too, made no effort to hide his secret identity from his parents. As Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes is one of DC's strongest teenage heroes with his super suit. Using the scarab, Jamie can wear a costume that significantly increases his strength and durability. This suit, too, can provide various weapons according to the wishes of its host. Jaime's favorites are energy cannons, swords, and shields. This costume can also produce energy wings that give Jamie the ability to fly and additional protection. In addition, the costume can also manipulate energy and vibrations to make invisible objects visible. However, Jamie is a beginner who needs a long time to adapt to all these powers. In an emergency, Jamie can even activate Infiltrator mode, a condition where the scarab takes over the clothes and kills all threats in front of him. Blue Beetle, now, is on the big screen and is the first superhero film from the DCEU to use Latino culture as its setting. This film was directed by director Ángel Manuel Soto from a script written by Gareth Dunedel-Coser. Solo Maridueña is believed to play the main star, namely Jamie Reyes, aka Blue Beetle. Apart from Maridueña, this film also stars Susan Sarandon, Bruna Marquezine, Alberto Reyes, and George Lopez.